Get to the chopper now! In the world of RC, there is actually so much that we can buy. RC cars, boats, helicopters, but also drones. And these tiny drones are now also for sale on AliExpress. But if you're going to be picking up from, let's say, an Action, that is a possibility too. Prices are coming close to each other. So this is a very fun overall way to play. So this is the 6-axis gyroscope with LED lights. So it actually has an auto takeoff function, 360 flip, and this thing is going to be so much easier to fly than a helicopter, or at least like an RC helicopter with fixed pitch. Nevertheless, when it comes to these, let's say, very cool, fun products, take consideration you need to particularly use this indoors. It comes with a fancy controller. But when it comes to using indoors, that is a situation. If you have like fragile stuff in your room, you need to be very careful because this is not going to be an easy way to play. Nevertheless, I think the problem I'm always having with these drones, that the overall flight durance is going to be like a couple of minutes. So an unfortunate part with this particular drone is they're only going to be getting one battery. And replacing it is not like a hot swappable situation. In here we're going to be having the manual from the Action Store product, or this drone itself. It explains how everything works. Just like read through it, because there's a lot of stuff you need to know. I mean, in particular when it comes to drones, it's kind of a plug and play situation, but still there are a lot of things that is so much different than, of course, a simple RC car. In here we're going to be finding the remote itself. Let's pull this thing out. And all the necessary parts, but it's pretty cool. So you're even going to be having some extra propellers. That is super convenient. What I do find very cool, that the propellers are actually caged in, so if you're going to be flying or bumping against something, you're not going to be having a situation that automatically going to be breaking one of the propellers off. For charging, you can just use the adapter that comes with it. That's like we're going to be in plug and play situation, but always be super careful with charging these things. Particularly they are lithium batteries, and if they're getting old, and particularly if they're getting like thick, they are going to be breaking, and they can catch actually fire. So be always super careful. Nevertheless, when you're going to be looking into the remote itself, this is not like the cheap micro switch remote that we have seen before with the RC cars. This is of course a completely different level. All of the functions are actually, or a lot of functions are actually built in, like if you want to take off, stuff like that. So I would say that when it comes to the overall configuration of the remote, this is like a very easy way to use. And powering on, you can hold the button for a couple seconds. You can see it starts flickering like crazy. Most of the time, this is an indication there is no communication with the remote itself. So let's turn it back off. Let's put some batteries in the remote. Let's turn the remote on. And then we're going to be having the drone put in place. But before that, let's see what's going on over here in the inside. And I think this is a little bit of a downside when it comes to this particular model. They should actually make something of a mini drone that is like a super easy way to just swap your battery, like a click and go system. I know it's out there, but unfortunately it's not in this particular model. Let's open it up. Yeah, you need to open it up, what I understand of every single time, to unplug it, to charge it. It's not super convenient. So it's just a basic lithium battery. I think you can even pick one of these things up from AliExpress. So it's not going to be an overall problem there. But the code and also the connector wise, it's also a little bit of a hassle finding the right supplier. Or maybe Action can actually resell these batteries later on. That would be super convenient. But again, like putting them back in, it's not like an easy task. And yeah, let's charge it later on. And you can just only plug it in one different way. I don't really know the connection, by the way. But you can just plug it in fairly easy by putting it back in the compartment. That is absolutely a challenge on its own. Nevertheless, when you're going to be looking at the overall, let's say, configuration of the mini drone, it's pretty sweet. But I think like they should absolutely do something with a hot swappable situation or plastic cases. There are many different ways to actually play, because this is not super convenient. Okay, so the batteries is going to be needing just alkaline batteries. Let's put in them, I think there are like 3 AAA batteries. You can actually see on the sticker on the remote that this is actually Action. So Action imported this for their stores itself. But one of the things I already noticed is that you don't really find them that often. It's like a come and go with this particular model. Well, let's move on into connectivity. So you can see the LEDs of the controller already like flickering, and that's it. What you need to do is you're going to be using the left joystick down, up, down. And the reason why, because if you're going to be doing this, it's going to be activating the drone itself. So yeah, I've been messing with it, just seeing to fly. I think I still need to do a little bit of trimming because it's going to be a challenge getting this thing to work perfectly. But I'm trying to film and fly this freaking thing. Nevertheless, let's do a couple of attempts. And I can tell you that flying this thing is pretty cool. It's still challenging, but not that like challenging like the RC helicopters that we have tried before. So nevertheless, you can actually see it's put on the ground. It also indicates with a certain latch what is front and the back of the drone. I think that is super convenient. And you know, this thing is super reactive. And yeah, if you have done a little bit trimming, you can see that this is going to be really cool. And I'm actually bashing into myself. But at this point, I think it's absolutely a lot of fun and still need to get used to it because I didn't fly that many times with a drone. And this one is slightly more responsive. I must say we're going to be having the bigger ones, more expensive one. You know, this is going to be absolutely an, like say, easier way to fly, so what I understand of. But this tiny one is pretty cool. And you can see that the automatically launching works perfectly. I personally don't really need it. I find it way more convenient to actually start very slowly and just mess around with it to get a little bit of a more feeling to it. So one of the things I did notice, the battery is not lasting for a long time, a couple of minutes on tops. And yeah, if I needed to recharge it a couple of times to get a little bit of the hang of it. So yeah, what I mean, like I actually wanted to have like a hot swappable situation. You can bring like 5 or 6 batteries with you, so you can just fly for an half hour or so. That would be so much more convenient, but particularly when you're going to be just starting messing with it. And I'm getting a little bit of the hang of it, but oh man, oh, this is so much challenging, more challenging than actually playing with a simple RC car. So let's give this thing a final attempt. I already did some testing before, recharged the battery a couple of times. And yeah, I think it's still not in full overall condition when it comes to the battery. I must say this thing does need a crazy amount of time to actually load or charge slowly the battery itself. But I can tell you that it's absolutely a challenge. And I do find this more pleasant than the RC helicopters that we tried on, like say later on in the channel. Nevertheless, let's take a close look at it. Like, how can I actually fly this thing? It's going to be, yeah, slowly. It's slowly becoming a little bit better. Oh, man. So when it comes to the RC drone thingy, it's absolutely a very fun overall device. But when you're going to be looking at it, like the way how this works, yeah, again, you need to have multiple batteries. Something I keep repeating myself on this because it was like absolutely a really annoying part. Nevertheless, I think it's a pretty cool, fun drone if you just want to do some flying indoors. I wouldn't actually use this outdoors, but it's like you can actually try if it's like a very silent and very, let's say, wind-free situation. But particularly this is used actually for indoors, and the battery situation, like pulling it out, getting the screw loose, is absolutely a freaking pain. Nevertheless, thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think of these tiny drones. Do you think it's worth it? And it would be great to see you in the next video.